All right, guys. So we got a look here at Mehdi Hassan's initial reaction to the Trump-Biden debate. He's actually, funny enough, talking to the Pod Save guys, which, you know, they had an interesting story in the wake of the debate. They were basically trying to say, like, Joe, we love you, but you got to step aside. And then it looks like Obama gave him a call and they fell right back in line and were like, no, Joe saved democracy, Joe's a hero, et cetera, et cetera. So they were part of the initial wave of honesty right after the debate, but then they have since sort of changed course and tried to, you know, soften the blow, et cetera. So here's Mehdi Hassan. He's talking to them. And he makes an interesting point that I wanted to dive into with you guys. So here we go.
There were two words missing from the 90 minutes last night. Project 2025. I would like
Two of many.
But I would like the media to be talking about this. I would like the Democrats to be talking about this. I would like Trump to be put on the spot for what he plans to do in terms of putting the military on the streets and ripping families apart, et cetera, firing half the government. And, you know, we have to ask some questions about the CNN debate coverage as well, right? I'm not going to defend Joe Biden's performance, but it took them 39 minutes to mention the fact that the guy on stage is a convicted criminal. I would argue that should have been 39 seconds into the debate.
I know, but like they probably, I am sure that Jake and Dana were like, well, Joe Biden is debating a convicted felon. He's probably going to bring that up on his own relatively early in the debate since no presidential candidate has ever debated a convicted felon before.
Look, Biden failed in that, and we can park that and say Biden failed at that, but the media's role there as ever. I mean, I spent 9 years trying to stop the normalization of Donald Trump in our media. I spent the last 3 years trying to stop the rehabilitation of Donald Trump in our media. I have failed miserably at both tasks, and I think last night's debate was evidence of that. Donald Trump is standing up there in the first debate since he was impeached for trying to overturn American democracy, since he was found guilty for financial crimes, since he was adjudicated as a rapist by a judge in a civil trial, and we opened with, what about the economy, as if this is like any other presidential debate. What the hell? And by the way, John very kindly said, I'm a guy who likes to debate. I do. That was not a debate. You can't moderate a debate if you're not moderating. There has to be some kind of fact-checking. Donald Trump can't say, hey, they're trying to kill babies in Virginia, and then you go, thank you, over to you, Joe Biden.
I fundamentally disagree with what we watched. There were plenty of times in that debate, multiple times, the moderators followed up. The question was about the child tax credit, or the question was about, would you accept the election? I think they went back and forth. I just think, like, sure, in a debate, a live fire exercise like that, are they going to follow up at every moment? No, but I do not believe any change in how that debate was moderated would have changed the outcome, because ultimately that was not a failure of moderation, that was a failure of Joe Biden.
So I actually think that point from that last guy there is true. Like, I don't think there was anything that could have been done to effectively save Joe Biden. But to be fair to Mehdi, I don't think he's making the point that the moderator should have intervened to save Joe Biden. He's saying the moderator should intervene as a matter of principle to correct the record when egregious lies are told. Right? But look, nothing would have changed the outcome. I think that's true. But that is a very, very interesting question, isn't it? Because, yes, one theory is that the moderators should moderate and they should fact check. Now, if that were to happen, what would it look like, though? You would have, honestly, like, with every answer from both candidates, you would have a follow-up where the moderator would have to say, that's not exactly true, and here is the truth. Right? Because they both lied a lot. Trump objectively lied more, but Biden still told a lot of lies. So if they were to intervene every time, according to one count, Trump told 50 lies. That is 50 direct follow-ups from the moderator, oftentimes probably having to cut Trump off to say, no, that number's not true, here's the real number, right? Like, no, that's misleading, here's the reality of the situation. And also, you're sort of assuming perfect knowledge among the CNN hosts. I don't think Jake Tapper has perfect knowledge. I think oftentimes his fact checks are wrong. Like when he tried to say that Medicare for All doesn't, save money when it saves a colossal amount of money, right? So, and I'm a little torn on this question, honestly, which is why we're talking about this, because I think the only way they were even going to get this debate to happen is if the moderators agreed to, we're just going to chill in the cut. We're just going to lay back. We'll ask the question. We'll let them give their answers, and then we're going to move on, right? So in other words, we are committing upfront to a limited role of just pitching the questions and stepping aside. I don't think Trump would have agreed to the debate if that wasn't part of it. And so it's sort of like a paradox here. It's a catch-22. They're in quite a pickle. Because either you fact check him every time he tells a lie or says something wrong, and that takes up a giant percentage of the debate, or you don't fact check him, and then we're in this position where it's like, you let him get away with saying things that are just colossally absurd, like the Democrats believe in post-birth abortion, which is just literally murder. It's just child baby murder. Obviously, that's not the law anywhere, and obviously that's not the reality. They use a totally out of context clip from Ralph Northam to try to make that argument when Ralph Northam is talking about if the baby's not going to survive anyway. There's a fatal fetal defect in the fetus. That's what he's talking about, and they make it seem like he wants to murder babies. Think about how fucking insane you have to be to even fall for that lie for a second, even watching the out-of-context clip. That lie originates from fucking Alex Jones, and it's something that Trump just reiterated. So, I don't know, I'm kind of convincing myself a little bit here that the moderators do need to do more fact-checking. But also, it is fucking Joe Biden's job. Like, your job is to fact-check him. Your job is to, get in the ring and correct the record. And he just didn't have it in him. So in lieu of Biden doing it, I don't know what the right answer is. I mean, I think probably it's a mix of the two. You can't just do the minimalist, like one step in, one step out. Here's the question, now I'm gone. You can't just do that, but you also can't fact check every single little thing, because then you're there all night and all day and cutting off everybody at every turn all the time. And so honestly, I think it's like a balancing act, right? I think it's like you have to pick your battles, and your battles should be the most egregious lies that are most absurd. Right? I think that's effectively where we are. But they didn't do that either. And like I told you, the format of that debate 100% helped Trump. I told you that muting the mics when it's not their turn to answer is going to help Trump, because it will look like he never interrupted Joe Biden. He was never rude. He was never too mean. He was never over the top. So the Democrats wanted that, wanted Trump's mic muted when Biden was talking, but that ended up backfiring. Terrible idea. Horrific idea. So anyway, I don't know, man. The role of the media in a scenario like this is very interesting, because if they actually do the job of fact checking, then they're going to be talking for 50% of the time at least. And people aren't really tuning in for that. But also, just as a matter of principle, it's probably a good thing to always have the truth be out there, right? So I don't know. You guys tell me. Should the role of the moderator in a debate like this be completely minimalist? It's not about you. It's about the candidates. Ask the question and get out of Dodge. Should it be that? Or should it be, no, we have to correct the record and fact check everything, whether Trump is lying or Biden is lying? Or is it sort of like a middle ground and you got to pick your battles? I don't think there's any perfect answer, especially because we're dealing with a nation in massive imperial decline, and our candidates are comically stupid and corrupt. So I think that in that scenario, it's almost impossible to even keep up with all the lies and all the half-truths, etc. So anyway, I don't know. You guys tell me. Comment below. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.